All right. Good evening to all of you. Actually, I'm conducting this session after a very long time. There was a lot of gap in between because of my professional commitments. Today, I will be taking you through the very important chapter 5 of Ramayana. This is the Trying to Understand Ramayana series, and this Sundarakanda is the most beautiful, as the name itself suggests. uh, as the name itself suggests, it is called as Sundarkanda. So we're going to see in detail everything about this. This is the most important. It's called heart of Ramayana. All right. Valmiki Ramayana has totally got about 24,000 shlokas. Okay. And these shlokas are divided into sections or kandas. Okay. These are like 6 kandas are there. Like we have seen so far, Balakanda, Ayodhya Kanda, Aranya Kanda, Kishkinda Kanda, and now the next one, what we are going to see is Sundar Kanda. This is the 5th and the second last chapter, and later on is Yuddha Kanda. There is also one more addendum to this. This is 7th Kanda that is called as Uttara Kanda, which is apart from all these 6 in the main epic. All right. Now, 5th chapter, Sundarakanda, has got uh, 2,885 shlokas or verses. Now, it has a special place in the heart of all the devotees as well as the literature lovers. Its name is also very unique. Unlike other chapters that are directly, give a reference to the place or the events or the occasions with reference to the subject matter discussed. So what is Balakanda? Balakanda talks about the childhood days of Sri Ramchandra. Ayodhya Kanda talks about Ayodhya. Aranyakanda about their forest stay. Kishkinda Kanda, how they meet monkeys and monkey leaders and bears, that it signifies. If we go by that order, we should have called it should have been named as Hanumanta Kanda, because Hanuman is the most important character over here. He takes the show completely, but it is called Sundarakanda. Now, nowhere Valmiki has mentioned why he is calling it as Sundarakanda. This has led to lot of speculation of all the scholars and people who study this Ramayana. Now, let us try to understand why it is called Sundarakanda. Okay. Now, maybe it is a very great, this refers to its great and literary work, and it is so beautifully woven. That is why it may be called as Sundarakanda, because of the poetic excellence or a literary excellence. Otherwise, Sundara also may be because what is Sundara? Something beautiful. When something beautiful happens, when you relieve the sorrow, that is the ecstasy. So it relieves Sita Mata of her sorrow and agony. Maybe that is why it is called as Sundara, Sundarakanda. Or Sundara may also mean, a beautiful, benevolent messenger, Lord Hanuman, who not only took the message of Sri Ram to Sita, but played a major role in uniting both of them. Maybe that is why it is called as Sundarakanda. And Sundara also means some recovering something that is lost. Okay, so it means actually he is again finding Sita who was lost, and then he is recovering. Recovering, we can't use the word recovering. We can say, bringing her back to Lord Rama. That also may be very a beautiful thing. So that is called as Sundarakanda. Or one more interpretation could be, it may be Ravana's Lanka, Sri Lanka, is the most beautiful place. I visited Sri Lanka. It is actually, it looks almost like India, our Kerala and Karnataka, all the Mangalore side and everything, where there are a lot of thick forests and all. It's a beautiful place. But in those days, it was regarded as the most prosperous, rich, and beautiful and well maintained island. Maybe that is why it is called as Sundarakanda. All right. So these all could be the references, but whatever it is, see what happens is uh, for for an ordinary man, Ramayana, the story of Ramayana. It may be just a linear story of heroic exploits of Lord Sri Ram and the winning of good over evil. He goes and he's valorous, he's brave. He goes with his army and then kills Ravana and brings back Sita. That it may be just a story like. And to the lovers of literature, it's a great literary work because Sundarakanda, the way, if you don't understand Sanskrit that much, that's okay. At least read the translation. Literal translations are maybe available somewhere. Read it. It is so beautifully explained. It's an excellent piece of work of literature, I would say. It's beautiful, like the kind of all the imagery is built and the similes and the metaphors. Oh my God, you should read it to understand what I'm talking. And for the lovers of literature, this is a literary work. But for the spiritual seekers, like people who really want to understand the meaning of life, Ramayana is an account of man's spiritual, ethical, moral, and entire progress of life, I would say. So mainly spiritual progress of life. Now, when we look at avatars or incarnations, now these are all very mysterious. These avatars are really mysterious. They are, in the sense, both human as well as divine. Maybe their divinity is masked by humanity. And, to give you a small example, there is a particle, some small particle or a small piece, a speck of the particle you take, that is nothing for our naked eye because we are not going to see beyond. Put it in the highly, high magnifying, microscope with great power, you will be able to see. I'm referring something to atom. So atom is so powerful. It actually, avatars are like that. What we see outside is just, sometimes our logical mind says, how can we say Ram was God, or how can we say Krishna was God? And what is this? Because we try to think only, seeing is believing. What we want to see, only we want to believe that. But there are certain things beyond that, beyond what we are thinking, beyond what our eyes can meet. So that kind of a thing is there, that only people like all our rishis and munis, they devoted their entire life and they spent in seek of truth. So they could see all that and they could say, but whatever it is, the main essence, what we have to take is we have to take a lot of learning from these epics, lot of lesson from these epics. And, it is actually much more complex, just like an atom, what I was talking right now, it is much more complex to understand whatever our sages have told. And actually, seven sections, what I discussed, six main and one, the last one is the addendum. Balakanda tells you a story of about 15 to 16 years. That is like Rama is grown, and we have discussed that in detail. I'm not going to go over it again. So he goes and he trains under two teachers. One is that Vishwamitra, and the other one is Vashishta. He kills few Rakshasis and Rakshasas, and then goes and wins over Swayamvara, gets Sita ji. So that is all Ayodhya. Balakanda. Ayodhya Kanda is just a couple of months. The boys come back and some celebrations are going on. Their marriage is again celebrated. All that description comes, and then coronation is decided, and then they are pushed to the forest. So next, that is a story of hardly a couple of months. Then comes Aranyakanda. Aranyakanda actually is of 12 and a half years, because they had to stay in exile for so long, 14 years ka exile tha. So they stayed there for 12 and a half years, and then Sita gets abducted. Then is Kishkinda Kanda. Kishkinda Kanda is only 6 months. Hanumanji, Ram and Lakshman meet Hanuman, and then Ramji makes friends with Sugriva. Then the Wali is killed. After Wali is killed, Sugriva is so much engrossed in living his life and enjoying it. For 6 months, he forgot who is Ram also. Then Lakshmana was sent. Ram says, please go and remind him what mission we are. We are all waiting here. Ram had not entered the city, true to his words, because he was supposed to be Aranyavasi. He was supposed to be in exile. So he didn't go to the city. He didn't attend his coronation of Sugriv. He didn't enjoy any comforts of his kingdom. He was living a simple life of a forest dweller. So then it comes. So that Kishkinda Kanda is of 6 months. Now, what I'm talking with so much of enthusiasm for Sundarkanda, it is like this, it is like that. Do you know the story of Sundarkanda? It is just one night and one day. It's hardly a story of 24 hours, what all accomplishment was done and how it was done. And then it will be followed by Yuddhakanda. Uttarakanda is a separate thing, as I said. So actually, Sundarkanda, the fifth chapter of Ramayana, gives us the entire gist of life, how you should lead life. Basically, it is concerned about Hanuman. I mean, it is talking about Hanumanji's devotion, bhakti. So, bhakti mein shakti, what is the power of your devotion? That is the most important message over here. And how he makes impossible things possible. That is the blessing of Lord Rama. Or bhakti mein jo shakti hai, or shakti ka complete saga is this, Sundarakanda. Now if we now let us go and see the next part, what happens. Like okay, Wali and Sugriv, I'm just taking the story ahead. We had seen up to Wali's coronation and Wali's killing and Sugriva's coronation, that we had seen last episode. And now Sugriva, once he gets alert from Sri Ram, he comes quickly and he summons all the monkeys from different parts of the earth. That is what is mentioned. It is not restricted to India, like a Himalayan foot will beyond Himalayas, anywhere and everywhere, all nooks and corners of the earth, they say Bhumandala. So whatever was the Vistirna of Bhumandala, what he brings them together, and he makes different squads. He search squads, he prepares, he divides them into different groups and sends them in different directions. Though there is a faint idea that Ravana must have abducted, but still confirmation is not there. So who knows, even if Ravana abducts, what is the guarantee that he has taken her to Sri Lanka? He might have hidden her anywhere else in the entire part, right, of the country. So he sends the team everywhere. One team headed by Jambavanta and also Angada. Angada was his son, Wali's son, who was next prince, and they come towards the south. On their way, they meet this Sampati. This also I have told you. Sampati is a brother of Jatayu. He confirms to this troop, southern bound troop, that Sita's abduction is definitely by Ravana, and Ravana has gone in the southern direction to his Sri Lanka. And he also gives another important information. He says to reach that Sri Lanka, you will have to cross 100 yojanas of sea. Okay, so 100 yojanas you will have to cross, and then you have to reach that sea. That he says. Then they all are, one thing is confirmed, okay, we are now having a strong inclination that Sita is in Sri Lanka, so let us search. So they all sit on the seashore, and Jambavanta is sitting in the center, and all other monkeys and bears are surrounding him. And then he asks him, like, we have to cross 100 yojanas. So who is ready? Who can go? So they're all discussing, And every monkey, poor thing, they come forward and say, see, I can go 10 yojanas. Somebody says, I can go 15 yojanas. Somebody says 30 yojanas. Beyond that, I cannot do. But Hanumanji is sitting in a corner there on a boulder, just gazing at the sea. He's absolutely blank and gazing at the sea. He's sitting. Then Jambavanta looks around and Hanuman, where is Hanuman? And he says, oh, he's sitting there. Then he summons him. Hey, Hanuman, why are you silent? Everybody is talking. Like, how long you can jump? How much you can jump? Come on, you tell me. You give me the idea. Then Hanuman, in all humility, he comes and says, what will I say, Jambavanta? I am just an ordinary monkey. I can only hop from one tree to another, or one building to another, one compound to another. What else I know? I can't think of jumping 100 yojanas, such a far stretch of sea. I can't. I don't have wings to fly, right? I can't do it, he says. At that time, I'm not actually brooding. I'm just very upset, I'm just trying to figure out how I can help. My intention is to help Lord Sri Rama. Come what may, I am going to help Sri Rama. That is the determination of Hanuman. He says, I'm going to help Lord Sri Rama. But how am I going to do? How my Rama will make it possible for me? So I am figuring out that. That is what Hanuman says. Then at that time, Jambavanta reminds him of his real strength. He says, Hanuman, you seem to forget Do you remember when you were a small child itself, as soon as you were born, you leaped into the sky thinking that sun is like, like a fruit and you wanted to engulf that fruit. And then sun actually pushed you behind and, or Indra came, and some stories say sun only pushed him. Some say Indra with his Vajrayuda pushed him. So he got his, this snout swollen. That is why Hanu means a swollen snout. So it is called as Hanuman. So he reminds him, and he says, "You are very powerful. You could grow in size as soon as you grow, and you could leap so much." But then what happened to me? I don't remember anything. He says, "Yes, you don't remember because you were very, very naughty, true to the nature of your monkey life. Like you were very naughty. So you used to trouble all the. You used to enter the ashramas. You used to be amused by what yajnas and everything was performing. So everybody used to do like that. I mean, used to trouble them, and sometimes you would just run away with the flower. Sometimes you would, whatever they have kept, all the fruits and everything, you would pick that fruit and start eating. So it was very difficult for them to perform. So one of them was very furious and angry. So he cursed you that you forget all your Shakti. And then your mother Anjana, she came running and she started, pleading with the rishi who cursed you. She says, "How can you be so harsh on my child? He is just a small kid of 4 5 years, and what will he understand? For him, it is a kind of play. It is an amusement. So don't be so harsh. Please, you'll have to forgive. Take your curse back. Take your curse back." He says. At that time, what that sage says is, "No, sorry, I cannot take this curse back, because once whatever we speak cannot be taken. We use our power of tapashcharya, whatever good deeds we have accumulated. I am using that, so I can't take it back. I can atone it. I can reduce it." Then he says, "Okay, when he is in need, somebody, if anybody who is elderly and who is genuine reminds him of his powers, this Hanuman will regain his power." So mother says, "All right, my intention is not immediately to remind him, and again he will trouble you. I will not get into that." He says. So Jambavanta is actually Anjana's brother. He is a he is a maternal uncle to Hanuman. So he knows his power. And then Jambavanta also tells him, "You are not an ordinary monkey. You have actually three fathers, I would say. You are a Shivansha Sambhuta, and Vayu carried you, I helped in carrying you, so you are a Vayu Putra. And you were born to Keshari's wife, so you are Keshari Nandana. So you have the blessings of three fathers and three, very, very powerful fathers. So you are unique." So he reminds him. And then he says, "You have Ashtasiddhi." Ashtasiddhi also I have discussed in my earlier episodes. You could watch that. So you can grow in size, you can become small in size. All that Siddhi is there, Hanuman. That time, Hanuman gets motivated and he is filled with enthusiasm. Then, he grows his body. That is Mahima. Mahima is growing the body, Garima is reducing the body. So he grows, and there is a Parvata which is called as Mahendra Parvata nearby. And Hanuman actually grows bigger than that Mahendra Parvata, they say. And he just goes and takes his, to the top of that Mahendra Parvata, and he stands and gives a gaze to Lanka. Okay, this is the sea I have to cross. He's now filled with lot of energy, vigor, and power, and everything, and he knows that he can do it. And most important thing is the devotion, the intention. So, what is the lesson over here? If somebody reminds you of your power, at least you should get reminded. Don't let that thing loose, and don't let that thing depress you or put you down. So sometimes it happens, all of us, sometimes we don't know our own powers. Somebody has to tell, "Larry, you're so good in it, you do it." That time we do. We are all behaving like Hanuman at times. But at least when somebody reminds us of our power, we have to immediately quickly regain it. And here, now one more question, you may think, why there is so much of glorification for Hanuman for crossing that sea. See, when that Shurpanaka's nose was cut, she was going. Ravana coolly takes his aeroplane and goes. All other Rakshasas are going to and fro. What is such a big deal we are creating because Hanuman crossed this 100 yards, under 100 yojanas? Now, understand one thing over here. All the Rakshasas and Rakshasis are going to their own territory. Hanuman is entering enemy territory. And what is enemy territory? It is like our soldiers infiltrating in Pakistan and China border, enemy border. So everybody is passing. So there is no big deal when you are going to enter an enemy border. Understand what could be the status of mind and what could be the danger. What you can see, and it is life threatening. That is why it becomes so very important. And also Hanuman was in the form of a monkey. He is not even a bird. He is not a Rakshasa. He is not a Gandharva. And how he could go. So that is why is that glorification. And also Hanuman trusted himself that he is going to do it for Ram. That is the level of devotion what he had. So he took everybody's blessings, elders' blessings. He says, no, no, I am going to accomplish this task now. Just don't worry. I know, trust me, I'm going to do. So he accepts the challenge with grace and takes the blessings of Sri Ram, and he prays to Sri Ram, okay, I can accomplish this only with your blessing, so I'm going. So he surges ahead. And then, uh, there is all the gods and everybody is watching there. So they are also wanting to test, oh, really, is Hanuman really going to make it? Let us see. So they send one character called as Surasai. Surasa is actually a Yakshini. They send her in the guise of a Rakshasi in that. So they say, you open your mouth wide and let Hanuman enter, trouble him, create a barrier for him. Let us see he is able to cross the hurdle. Their intention was good, not bad, but just wanted to test his power. And he meets Surase. And this Surasa opens her mouth so much, like she says, hey, monkey, I want to eat you. Hanuman grows in size very big, and he says, see, your mouth is so small, you're telling me that I have to enter. She says, that is the rule here. Anybody who is going, if I wish to eat somebody, they have to enter my mouth and I'm going to digest. He says, all right, I am ready, but look at my size. How will I enter you? So can you please become big? So she wide opens her mouth so much, like, bigger than Hanuman she has to do, right? She extends her mouth. Now Hanumanji quickly enters into Garima stage and becomes such a small monkey. He quickly enters her tummy and comes out. He says, look here, I have entered. I have entered your tummy. You said you enter my tummy. I entered your tummy. If you didn't eat me and digest, that's not my problem. Let me go. Then she shows her real form. She is Surasa, she's Yakshini, she's not actually Rakshasi. He blesses Hanuman, accomplish the mission for Lord Sri Ram, who's nobody other than incarnation of Lord Vishnu. So please go ahead. So she moves away. And then Hanumanji is going later on, he meets Simmika. Now, Simmika is a legendary Rahu's mother. Those who know a little bit of astrology, or everybody will know Rahu, like, demon. So, serpent demon. So, that Rahu's mother, Simmika, what was her specialty is she was also living in that sea. She didn't have to trouble to find her prey and all that. What she would do is she would just look at the shadow of that animal, I mean bird or whatever is flying. If she wished, she could draw in that being or living thing with its shadow and engulf it. So she started drawing Hanumanji like that, shadow. And again, Hanuman was successful and he slayed her and he moved ahead. Then there's suddenly one, Parvata or a mountain surfaced. That was called as Mainaka Parvata. So Mainaka Parvata was a friend of his father, Vayu. So who had helped Mainaka to come from somewhere and settle in that sea. So he surfaces and he says, I am your your father's old friend. So why don't you rest for some time? You have to cross the sea. Please come and take some rest. That time also he says, Hanumanji says, no, no, I'm sorry. This is not the time for me to relax. I'm not here to relax. Okay, let me complete my work. While coming back, I really don't mind. I will relax if time permits. But right now, simply no, no, I just cannot do. So he goes ahead. Again, what is the lesson here? Be focused. Whenever you want to accomplish something, don't get distracted into too many things, or don't get into that leisurely mode, then you will not be able to do. If Hanuman were to take rest at that point of time, maybe he would think twice, oh my God, Now I'm tired. Next day morning I can go. Will I be able to fly? Again, that doubt may flash. So when you are in that flow, you go with the flow. That is the message here, what we get, you know. And then Hanuman reaches the shore of Lanka. He's so huge, still in size, okay? Because that to float around and go, it requires time, or hopping, whatever mode he used. And then, he takes a view on the city, which was built on Trikuta Parvata. Lanka was built on a piece of land. No? It is an island, right? That island was earlier Trikuta Parvata. On that, the city of Lanka had been built. So he actually gazes at Lanka. He says, "Oh my goodness, it is not an ordinary, it is not on the earth. It looks like Amaravati." Amaravati is Indra's city, city of gods, okay, where Indra stays. It is so beautifully done. And he describes Lanka as Abhedya. Abhedya means it is not possible to explore that Lanka. It means very well guarded, very safe. And then he says, if I go in my Mahima Avatara, they will catch and kill me, or everybody will come to know. Now I cannot take this risk. So again, look at the strategy. He becomes very small in size. Okay, so becomes like an ordinary monkey. Then he says, another thing he says, if I try to enter now also, immediately, it is not a good idea. Let the night fall, let it get little dark. By the evening he had reached, so he waits till the evening. Now before this, what happens, he meets Lankeshwari, that is a goddess of Lanka, who is who is guarding the city. Everyone, we have that local deity kind of a thing, no? So that Lankeshwari, she comes and she obstructs. Who are you, monkey? You cannot enter Lanka. How? With whose permission have you come? As I told, Lanka was Abhedya. And he says, I have to go. No, then you have to put up a fight with me. So again, he assumes his form of Mahima, and he vanquishes her, he defeats her. Then she says, oh my God, even I have some divine ansha in me. If you are defeating me, then something really good about you or something great about you. She also blesses. I don't know what work you are come for, but whatever work you are come for, may you accomplish and may you succeed in whatever you are doing. So he takes her blessings and he proceeds further. So Hanumanji, before even going, he starts mentally calculating which road I have to take, how you have to go, and where it could be. So he climbs one of the tallest trees or a mountain peak, and he takes a glance at city. It's such a well planned city. And you know something about Lanka? Lanka was not built by Ravana. This Ravana is he is a real demonic, tamasic vritti he had. Kubera is a yaksha. Actually, Ravana's wife had, 2, 3 wives. Ravana's father had 2, 3 wives. Vishravasu. So one of the Yakshanis he had got married to, and he had got a son, Kubera. Now Kubera was dwarf midget, and he was not very good looking, but very good in finances and making money kind of a thing. And he was very creative also. Actually, he had called the celestial people to come and build the city. He had spent a lot of money. Even Pushpak Viman also belonged to Kubera. That is not Ravana's. Ravana has no role in that, only a snatched. So that is where it makes him evil, right? He is always having eye on others thing, whether it's a wife or whether it is something, like he wants everything best for himself. That is the negative trait of Ravana. So Kubera had built this city, and it was called as Soneki Nagari, golden Sri Lanka. It doesn't mean that everywhere there were gold and all. It means affluency to the limits, people, it is described in Valmiki Ramayana. On the streets, they used to sell all the, pearls and other jewels and everything. Gold was very, very cheap. And everywhere the vatikas and vanas, so beautiful, and fragrant flowers were grown, and it was a very picturesque and a very beautiful city. That is why he takes a look and he compares it to Amaravati. So he stands there and he strategizes, like, how do I go, which lane I would take. So again, before entering enemy territory or before accomplishing any task, what you require is you require certain kind of thinking. You need to strategize. You just can't take a rash step. Okay, I want to do it. Never take any hasty decision anywhere in life is another message over here. He would have grown arrogant, in anybody else would have grown arrogant. I have crossed this sea and come. Who will do what? I have got this siddhi, that siddhi. No, Hanuman wants to underplay his role over there. He becomes an ordinary monkey, no ego. So he says, let me strategize, and he starts moving. So then, he says, and where to search for Sita now? He spots a beautiful tall building. He concludes, okay, this is Ravana's palace, undoubtedly, because he is now on the top of a hill, and then he is watching Lanka. He says the tallest building will be obviously King's building, right? So there's not much logic there. So he says, then he figures out how to go. So jumping from one side to another, moving in a very dark. After the darkness has set in the evening, okay, late evening, he starts exploring. So he goes to Ravana's palace. Now, in Ravana's palace, first he searches all the gardens surrounding the palace. Oh my God, there is nobody is there. Sita is nowhere to be found. And then actually, he peeps before going over there, before going to the palace, he searches in each and every house. He peeps and searches. Why? Because maybe Ravana has kept her in somebody else's house or special house, that way. And Valmiki has described the nightlife of Sri Lanka. It is worth reading. Every shloka, how people were drunk and the food was wasted. And see, nightlife. Again, what you should understand is it is written Rakshasiyon ka Rakshasonka, nightlife is given over there. Now, what do we mean by that? This is again a tamasic way of living. Okay, eating all the, forbidden food,